Howdy, folks, again. Dave Man here, Rollman Revolution. You know, I turned on the television this morning to get caught up on all of the bullshit. And Larry O'Donnell of MSNBC goes on there and makes a joke about Trump and urine tests and all this other stuff. And it's, you know, it's gotten to the point now where it's like anything to make Trump look like a buffoon, a fool, or to make him look like a criminal is all that these people focus on. Now, what I would like for other people to, or for people to realize is that anyone who still watches that garbage, I watch it simply so that I can understand what the enemy is doing. But the thing is that if you watch this stuff, or your parents watch this stuff, or your grandparents watch this stuff, you can see how easily a person could be manipulated by the stuff that they produce. It is well crafted, well messaged, and it's packaged in a way and talked about in a specific way that makes you believe there is no other option other than what they are presenting to you. That Trump is this bad criminal, that everything that happened in New York the other day was completely justified. There was no jury involved. You have one man making a decision based upon information that already everybody who was on the outside looking in could see was going in a specific direction. It didn't matter what the law said. It didn't matter if you were rational or not. It only mattered what this one judge thought. And what you need to understand is that this was just a cash grab. And if the government of the United States can come in and take a former president's business, license, and everything else away, if you think they can take it from him, they can certainly take anything you hold dear away from you. I know there are people out there this morning laughing and cheering and giving themselves the high five, the attaboys. But what you don't realize is democracy lost today. The rule of law lost. So cheering, okay, because what, your horse won? Today they won. Today. But tomorrow could be an entirely different thing. Maybe tomorrow they come after you and what you hold dear. And who's going to be listening then? Right? Nobody. Because the Gestapo has come, the Gestapo has spoken, and the Gestapo does what it wants. We have a two-tier justice system in this country. Whether you're on one side of the football or not, you can't deny that that exists. Look, you have a president of the United States that has dementia. The government has known about this for a very long time, and yet they won't charge him with any criminal charges because he couldn't stand up in court. No sane man would leave documents in the back of his convertible or open in his garage. No, of course not. So he can commit crimes, put the United States national security at risk, and have his finger on the nuclear arms. No problem, right? Do you see does anybody not see a problem here? Are we really so brainwashed that we can't see what's directly in front of us anymore? I mean, this is what I would like for people to really rationalize. What if this whole thing is wrong? And when I say this whole thing, I mean the whole thing that we are playing in, this whole universe apparatus, this thing we call Earth, right? Many people are so afraid to die, but the thing that they don't realize is that they've died many times before, and they've been back through this cycle over and over and over again, many, many lifetimes. Imagine if all the stories that they've been telling us is wrong. Imagine if so many of the things, the lies that we see today that is in just mainstream, has been going on for decades, centuries, millennia. The one thing you can guarantee in this world is that if you present bullshit to people, you will get a bullshit outcome. If you present truth, a society that is based upon truth, understanding, rationalization, communication, open dialogue, transparency, those are the societies that blossom, bloom, and thrive. But everybody blossoms, blooms, and thrives. See, in a society of oligarchs, dictators, and globalists, it's only a small few, the Pan Ams of the world, the people who are up there, and you peasants down in the bottom. No, you do all the work and provide for those people. That's where we're heading. And the reason that you may be on this side of the football today and say, yeah, Joe Biden this, and get Trump, get Trump, get Trump, but you would be foolish for doing that because you're only digging your own grave. And the fact you can't see that makes you very dangerous. But at the end of the day, and I will continue to keep going down this line for the rest of my life, at the end of the day, you will just be recycled back through this. Now, more than likely, you will come back and you'll be at the bottom of the rung again, trying to fend your way to try to figure out what is going on here. But this time, in this moment, in this incarnation, we are living in times where we have the opportunity to do the right thing, to change the outcome if we do something now. But there's so many that are just sitting back going, yeah, somebody else is going to take care of it. Okay. Let's see how well that's worked out for people in historical times. The ones that didn't rise up. What happened to those people? That's right, they were enslaved. The reason why history is so foggy and is so distant and so murky in some situations is because I bet you a lot of the true history, the stories where we hear about societies that did rise up, those societies and those historical documents are either sheltered or shredded. And trust me, if these globalists and traitors within our government succeed this time, the future generations will never know of the United States of America. And if they do know of that United States, they will talk about it in a way that isn't what the original story was to begin with. See, your history is your identity. And if you have somebody else writing your history, you lose who you were and where you came from. The stuff that they're teaching the young folks in school is irrelevant to the world that we're living in. And the reason why they're teaching them this is by the time that they get out into that world, they have a different warped sense of what the reality is. So finally, when they get out there, they can't compete. They don't even know what's going on because they've been taught nothing how to really interact with this thing. And that is the biggest crime of all, because it started many, many moons ago in this country to have and create these small wedges and divisions. Look, we are arguing about what a woman is in this country, which is the most ridiculous thing in the entire world, but yet we are having that argument here. And everybody on the outside looking in thinks we're a bunch of freaking clowns, because that is the basic of understanding. And you can't even have a society you can figure that shit out. What a joke. Because again, I am not this America. No. No, see, the America that I have in mind is where everybody gets it. Everybody has a seat at the table, but everybody shares. We all going to keep sharing back and forth. And the way that this works in a society when you have open dialogue and transparency is the good ideas rise and the bad ideas fall. Why? Because truth and reality doesn't have to be sold, because it rises naturally, because everybody resonates and believes in it. Okay, so to say that this doesn't work and historically has never worked is nonsense. The reason why we're living in shitty times is because we have shitty people leading us. And when you get rid of the shit and you put proper things into proper places, it blossoms, blooms, and thrives. Again, this is what we are not teaching anybody. And even the parents of these kids today have disconnected. A lot of them have disconnected. Not all. There are many out there fighting, but many parents have just disconnected and want to argue with the ones that have connected and have figured it out. I'm blown away by how many people like to argue when they have no idea what they're talking about. Just because you heard it from your guy, your friend, your reporter, my go-to person, doesn't mean you know. Because you're taking everything at the face value. Let me give you an example. Let me talk to just the women out there right now. Let's say, for argument's sake, you get word that your guy is cheating on you. So you go and investigate, and you find out nothing, right? You come home, now it's bugging you, right? You ask your guy, look, I know this, and you ask him, and he says to you, I don't know what you're talking about. Do you believe him? No, you don't believe him. Why? Because somebody told you otherwise. Okay, so the only way you're going to really find out about the whole situation is if you can prove what it is that either of those two people are saying, either the friend that told you or the boyfriend that told you otherwise. So the thing is, what we're doing in this country today is we're taking my guy's word for it without even investigating ourselves. So we don't really even know. But yet we'll sit there and argue and fall on our sword till the death about something we don't even know anything about. And that blows my mind. Because how in hell's name are you supposed to navigate through anything in this world if you don't even know what you are talking about? You want a better life. Everybody bitches and moans that, this shit. Look, I even listen to everybody who voted for Joe Biden. And I know a lot of them. And they bitch and moan all the time about how much expensive this shit is. But they can't even rationalize the fact that the reason why things are so expensive is because you put that son of a bitch in. You voted for that. That's how irrational people have become. They don't even realize the destruction that they are creating for their own selves. It's like, how do you not see this? And I'll tell you why. Because you've been arguing with the people next to you that just want to talk. Because you have narrowed your mind and said, no, I'm not listening to you. Why? Because he's pro-life. Oh, I'm not listening to him because he's pro-guns. The social issues need to take a back fucking seat because your country right now is being invaded and destroyed by a bunch of people who have sold their souls out so that they can benefit while they let you suffer. And I don't understand how you haven't realized this yet, and why you haven't recognized the fact that the media, this strong-arming CIA, 93% in your face, 24/7 bullshit is overwhelming. The questions I keep asking people is, how do you know anything if you yourself haven't done the investigative or gotten along with other people who have done the investigative so they can show you the receipts to what it is you're trying to understand so you can get a grasp around it, okay? Because again, there's nobody on any one of those 93% controlled networks that is teaching you anything. That is why it's titled News for Stupid People. It feeds you a narrative. It feeds you what they call spoon-fed bullshit. And if you're still doing this to yourself, you have to ask your own self why. Because again, all of us on the outside looking in feel not only sorry for you, but are trying to show you the way out of this hypnotizing nonsense. The only way this country is ever going to get out off its ass and get better for yourself and for me and for everybody else around you. Do you not want what's yours? Do you not want a piece of the action? Do you not want part of this country's inheritance? Then why are we fighting each other? The fight isn't between you and me. It's between us and those son of a bitches who have stolen it all and pinned you and I against each other. I wake up every day trying to do my part to try to give you something that you can do. Look, I'm not here to argue over social issues, whether one thing is right or one thing is wrong, but we can agree on certain things. That your family is important, my family is important. I want to see you succeed. I would hope you would want to see me succeed. There is enough to go around in a world and in a country that is filled with all of this talent and treasure. But if you have criminals representing you, they steal your money and then give it to their friends and then empower themselves and then control everything around you. And then before you know it, you can't even get a piece of the action because they've given it and controlled it all with their criminal buddies. Do you see how the game is played yet? If your life is slowly getting worse and worse and worse, I'm promising you it is going to get even harder if you don't get involved and put these stupid biases, Republican, Democrat nonsense out of your mind. Those terms are irrelevant because they don't serve the people and the parties that they intended from the beginning. It's all a facade. They are on the same side playing against you and me. The way we win this year is to recognize when we are being told a line of bullshit. And the only way we can do that is by checking into the person who's telling you this. These people are not your friends. I don't care if you have been watching one network or another for the last 20 years. You don't know these people and you don't know what their agendas are. Now you could say, well, I know and you don't know. Because if you did, you wouldn't be saying a lot of the shit that you are out there and repeating the same bullshit. Because you can tell over time, and anybody who's been doing this for any length of time, I have no stake in the outcome of this. I'm only looking out for my family, my neighbor's family, and the people around me, and you should be doing the same for you. This country is about taking care of us. That's what being a nationalist, populist is. What MAGA is make this country great. That includes you. Both of us, all of us. But somehow this apparatus, this controlled propaganda machine, has convinced you and convinced these people and those people that these are extremists. They are liars. Trump is a big bad meanie. Do you know how many times we have been hearing that for the last 5-6 years about how bad this person is, and none of this stuff has come to fruition? It's all nonsense. Everything that the media has basically portrayed over the 3-4 years of President Trump's presidency turned out to be bullshit. So why in heck's name is anybody continually watching this or feeding this or sharing any of this? To say this country is a 50-50 divide is a lie in of itself. To say that all of the people of California have gone completely wacko is a lie in of itself. The expose comes when the people, even within these groupthink groups, step out and say, you know what? You guys are a bunch of frickin' retards. Because anybody who lets another group or lets another group of people tell them what to think means you are a follower. You're not a free-thinking individual. You just do whatever the group says. Who are you is the question. I want to know who you are. What makes this country great is its diversity, not its conformity. And if you want to conform, then just keep voting the way that you are, because they will enslave you. They will give you everything you want. Everything you want. But I promise you, when you get to that end, you ain't gonna like it, but it will be too late. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. The time is now. The answers are done right now. The way we fight is right here, right now, together. I know everybody's getting tired of listening to all of this and all of that. But it's going to get inherently worse if you do nothing. The only way we win is by putting down the bullshit. Stop fighting amongst each other. When America unites, we become an unstoppable force. And that is what I want for you. That is what I want for this future. And the only way we're going to get there is by putting the man back in who is breaking this crap apart from the beginning. Now, granted, he is not perfect, and I have never said Donald J. Trump is a perfect man, by far. But he is an instrument. He is the instrument. He's the only one that we have right now that is the popularity that he has, that basically went in there in 3.5, 4 years and undid so much bullshit and exposed the tyrants and the criminals that you see now. This movement has gotten bigger and bigger. Why? Not because of BS. It's because truth resonates with those who are willing to look at it. But the problem is there's too many people going, nah, I ain't gonna look at that. That was all propaganda because somebody told you it was propaganda. How do you know? How do you know if you haven't even looked at it? How do you know? That means you can't assess the difference between bullshit and truth. You need to start checking yourself before you wreck yourself. I keep trying to tell people, look, I do this to myself. We all need to check ourselves. We all need to know why we believe what we believe. That's what makes us a sovereign individual. This groupthink needs to go. You are smarter than all of this. Start to look deep. Start to look past the Larry O'Donnells of the frickin' world. Start to look past the Rachel Maddows of the world. All the people that spoon feed you their nonsense. You know what to do. You have a family. You've had situations in your work, in your job, in your environment, and in the things that you do every day. Don't let these people play you. Don't let them play you, your family, and the future of your family. Get involved now. You have something to offer. Go down to your local precinct or just start making videos. Start sharing content that exposes those who are trying to destroy this nation. I hope to see you out on the battlefield. I'm fighting every day. What I'm fighting for? This country has taken everything. Joe Biden's taken everything from the majority of the people. What are you fighting for? What do you fight for? That's what you need to find out this year. I hope to see you out there. Take care. Peace.